The day I got off the trail in Old Station, I had some free time and went to my local REI to get new shoes. My first pair of Sauconys were great. They lasted 700 miles and I still wear them because they're so comfortable. But my second pair tore my feet up, something horrible. At REI, I got Ultra Lone Peak 7s and will probably hike in Ultras from now on. The morning after Julie's mother's funeral, Julie drove me back to Old Station. Near the trailhead is Subway Caves. We wanted to check them out, but it was the hottest day yet and we had Lexi with us. So we took turns going down while the other held Lexi up top in the shade. It was nice and cool in the caves. The caves were ancient lava tubes that didn't fill with lava, so they were long and straight like a subway tunnel. The caves were very popular. The nearby town of Redding had a temperature of 110, so Julie slathered me up with sunscreen before I could go. I got a hug and we took the now traditional selfie. Of course, Lexi needed to say goodbye too. It was cooler than Redding's 110 at Old Station because it's 4,000 feet higher, but it was still hot. After I left Julie, I climbed up 500 feet and cruised along the edge of a plateau at 5,000 feet for the rest of the day. The plateau edge was called Hat Creek Rim. The rim had an overlook, parking area, and a pit toilet, but no water. In fact, unless I hiked 16 miles, there was only one place to get water that day, a place called Lost Creek. Since I got a late start, 3 p.m., it seemed unlikely I'd get 16 miles. Lost Creek was just a quarter mile off trail, but I had to climb down 400 feet to get there. I can't think of a more difficult water source on the whole trail. At least you could leave your pack up top and just walk down with your bottles. As the sun set, it got real pleasant. I still had cell reception and called Julie. I told her not to freak out if she didn't get an end of day in-reach message until late. I figured I could night hike and get a full day's mileage. That was until I nearly stepped on a giant garter snake in the failing light. I tried to shake off the experience and keep going, but I figured that snake could have easily been a rattler. I didn't even wait for a proper camping spot. I just pulled off the trail and camped with a great view looking down from the rim. The next morning I passed a communications tower on the way to a water source just 3 miles away. The water was on the edge of a ranch, a big tank for the cows and a smaller one for us hikers. I had breakfast there. This was the first time I remember the mosquitoes being annoying. Lots of hikers came and went while I had breakfast. No one skips this water spot. The next official water was 13 miles up the trail. I continued along the rim for much of the day, which afforded great views. You could even see Shasta. At Castle Fall River Road, I unexpectedly ran into an ice chest chock full of sodas. Nice. On the other side of the road was a water cache. I like what was written on the little locker. All morning I was dreaming of Bomb Lake. It was so hot and dry. I really was hoping to swim at one of the water crossings there. The first one was a bridge with a bunch of fishermen on it, so no swimming. A couple of older fishermen on the bridge stopped me and asked me where I was coming from. When I told them Mexico, one of them, who apparently is an expert on the topic of thru hiking, started explaining to the other one that they carry all their food for the whole trip, and they forage and hunt while on the trail. He wanted to know what type of gun I carried. I'm not sure if I cleared up any misconceptions. I really didn't get any words in. It was nice to talk to people, and the delay was fortuitous. Just as I entered the parking lot on the other side of the bridge, a pickup rolled in. The driver had a bunch of extra drinks and fruit she wanted to give us hikers. Although I had just had a soda 4 miles back, I eagerly grabbed another one as well as some watermelon. As soon as the soda was gone, I regretted not getting two. I never got my swim, but I saw a cool water-driven contraption downstream from the fish hatchery. I don't know what it does. Soaking my feet while I ate lunch was my consolation prize. I passed by the trail to Burning Mountain Guest Ranch, but Far Out Comment said it was closed for the season. The class of 2023 just can't have nice things. I passed the road to Bernie. I just got back on the trail the day before, so I skipped this trail stop. My day ended after 27.8 miles at an awesome free campground adjacent to Bernie Falls State Park. 27.8 miles was my new record. I finally beat the 26 miles I did on my third day. The mosquitoes drove me into my tent just as the sun set. I got going early the next day and walked right by the 0.3 miles side trail to the actual Burney Falls. I just assumed you'd see Burney Falls as you walk through Burney Falls State Park. There's a general store there, and although it wouldn't have been open, I could have waited. The dam on Lake Brighton was impressive. Although I didn't see the Burney Falls, I did see falls in the state park. The most impressive one I passed was Rock Creek Falls. I started running into this flower which I just looked up, and I think it's a tiger lily. Because they bloom facing down, they are difficult to capture without accidentally getting a selfie. A southbound hiker told me she saw a bear in this clearing, but I couldn't see it. A clicky bird. Another lily. When I entered the Shasta Trinity National Forest, the views improved. I camped at a lovely spot after a reasonable 21.5 mile day. When I got up in the middle of the night, I captured the stars in a photo. The views at sunrise were awesome. I got to a pass, saw the snow, and felt like I was having flashbacks. Fortunately, the snow was just on the pass and there was no traverse to worry about. Although the snow obscured a fork in the trail, another hiker, Ratatouille, walked up. We decided which way to go and off I went in the lead. After a while, I noticed I was on the wrong trail. I should have backtracked. Had I would have seen Ratatouille and saved her some time. Instead, I crossed the forest, which rapidly turned into higher and higher manzanita plants. It was hard, frustrating work to get back to the trail. When I later saw Ratatouille, we both felt pretty dumb for taking the wrong fork. I saw the sticker on a PCT sign and had to translate it. In Shasta Trinity, I was finally seeing water sources regularly again. Stopping to splash water on your face was a great way to cool down. I did another 27-mile day and cooked my dinner in the tent vestibule to avoid the mosquitoes. At this dirt road crossing the next day, someone left trail magic. Unfortunately, all but a half scoop of Gatorade powder was left. You know, it was delicious, so I decided I'd start adding some sort of electrolyte drink powder to my resupplies going forward. The McLeod River was really silty. Silty water does a number on your filter, so when I use silty water, I just boil it to use it in my meals. My trekking pole, which I need to put up my tent, was on the outside of my pack. It was held in place by two straps and the tip sits in a pocket. This day, I went under a branch. I felt or heard something odd, so I turned around. My pole was lying in the middle of the trail. Somehow this branch plucked the pole right off my pack. Bad branch. Anyway, after this, I also cinched down the pole strap. That could have been bad. I finally got my swim at Cabin Creek. It was great for a midday break. A place to cool down during the hottest part of the day. There was a pit toilet nearby too. I swam near a bridge. It wasn't until later I discovered a bunch of thru-hikers were under the bridge. Their number included Pisa from Donner Pass. Got 22 miles and change for that last full day. The next day was a town day. Yay! I got creative with the mileage that last day. I saw a comment about a great view off trail and down an off-road vehicle trail. From my tent down to Dunsmuir was supposed to be 12 miles, but heading down the ridge knocked 3.5 miles off that. Right where the ridge joined the road, I ran into Pisa, Ratatouille, and another hiker who had camped right there on the off-road vehicle trail. I passed a hiker-made 1,500-mile marker and this cool-looking stump. Apologies to anybody who suffers from trypophobia. With my early start and shortened route, I was ready for pickup at 9 a.m. While I was waiting for the ride, I ran into Pisa's crew. Apparently they were going to resupply in the town of Shasta, which has a proper outfitter. I had contacted Kelly, the proprietor of Crossroads, a couple of days earlier for a pickup. She drove me to Crossroads, which has been described by some as a hippie compound. I loved it. I stayed in her tiny cabin, which is a lot like the shed/office in my backyard. Similarly, it has air conditioning. There was an outdoor bathtub with a shower head and sheets for privacy. The kitchen was also outdoors with an overhang to protect it from the elements. Lots of seating and an outhouse. Everyone gets a drink when they arrive. I chose juice because it seemed a little too early for beer, but I immediately regretted my decision. A couple were staying in a cabin, but were getting ready to go back on trail, so I didn't have to wait long to settle in. Gray Wolf, an older gentleman, was the male half of the duo. I didn't catch his wife's name. Kelly made us coffee while she told me about her place in Dunsmuir. The plan was to shower and do laundry before walking under the freeway to Railroad Park Resort for lunch. Everything at the park was railroad themed. When I got back, I met another hiker who was going to stay a couple of nights, and Witch was Kelly's helper. She started out hiking the PCT earlier that year, but got off trail due to an injury. She was going to stay at the crossroads the rest of the season to help Kelly out and to stay connected to the trail culture. We intended to resupply a Dollar Tree, but it closed early, so Witch gave us a ride to a little grocery instead. After we were done shopping, we all went to the Wheelhouse for a great dinner. I'd spend less than 24 hours in Dunsmuir, but it seemed like so much more. Very regenerative. Snake count, 8. I was hoping I was done with snakes. The first day on this section, the snake day, was day 63. The last time I saw a snake was on my 37th day on the trail. Trail stop checklist. Bernie, skipped. Bernie Falls State Park, check. Dunsmuir, check.